Well, welcome to Technology and Education Today. I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford, and we are coming to you from the University of Houston Clear Lake in Houston, Texas, USA.
Today we're talking about brainstorming and trying to get at the root of it and what it can be used for in education or training. So what would you describe as brainstorming?
Well, I personally don't prefer brainstorming. I prefer critical analysis, which is kind of where people go when they're starting to talk about it. Some advertising guy, back in 1939, I think it was, came up with the idea, the concept of brainstorming, pulling a group of people together and talking about an idea, coming up with an idea. And then he came up with several different components of what he called brainstorming. And then different people came up with different perceptions of what type of brainstorming to use, like
I think basically
guided, directed.
I think basically brainstorming is used to come up with ideas for some sort of concrete thing, rather than to gather an opinion as should I go to Chicago or should I take my vacation in Miami. It's more to the fact. Since it's for advertising, should we put our product in a square box or should we put our product in a round box, or basically how should the box appear in which we put our product?
And how to advertise, what type of advertising might be appropriate for the product.
No, just that one idea.
Okay.
Focus in on that one
Sorry.
one idea. So that I think the idea is to get the entire group together. And you have a group
Both
leader.
experts and novices, which makes sense.
Right.
And why does it make sense?
Okay, I'll bite. Why?
Well, this is merely my opinion, but experts kind of are thinking along normal lines, and experts have basically been taught to think in a certain manner. Novices within a subject area or a topic are able to think more outside the box and bring different ideas and concepts that other people may have dismissed or not even considered to the table for discussion.
Yeah, and when you have a group of people, I guess the idea is that you have this sort of I'm going to use a big word, synergistic effect.
Ooh, $10.
$10. So we have a variety of ideas that are put out without any sort of criticism, without judgment, without making fun of the idea, and then we bring all the ideas together and seriously consider them as the solution to the particular question.
Now, the thing that drives me crazy about brainstorming, and feel free to tell me that I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Normal. is that there are so many different personality types, and some people, whether they recognize it or not, dominate a discussion. And this is just my preference. I like to sit back and listen to everybody else and think about what they're saying and revamp it and revise it and maintain more of a quiet demeanor. I desire to maintain a quiet demeanor, be one of the little wallflowers while I'm thinking about critically analyzing.
Well, you know, there are several different methods or variations of brainstorming, and I think what they try to do is get at this idea of allowing people who might not normally put out an idea because even though there's not supposed to be any criticism, you're sort of afraid that you're going to get criticized. So
there is always an evaluation of whatever is put out there. It's silly to act like there's not.
At the end, and if you don't present your idea on your own, and ideas are presented on paper and without any identification, then all those ideas can be discussed at the end. To be more modern about it, you can convey the ideas electronically on the internet with something even like an email program. Now, of course, there are programs developed now that will take care of the sharing of ideas. So there's a number of variations. I think the key thing is that the idea that the group sharing ideas and exploring ideas is going to come out with better ideas or solutions to the problem at hand than a single person working by himself or herself is going to be able to do.
Perhaps. The wisdom of the masses. I don't necessarily buy into the wisdom of the masses.
Well...
Look at Congress. That's all I'm saying.
We're getting political here.
No, it's a little funny little joke on the side. But there's a component, a little nugget of truth in there. You bring a bunch of people together who may be novices, may be experts, and that doesn't mean you're coming up with the best idea as an outcome.
Well, we have to, yes, the idea is that the experts come up with ideas and the novices come up with ideas. In general, you would expect that the novices would have ideas not as good as the experts' ideas.
I disagree.
But what the idea here is in brainstorming that since the novices are new to the problem, that they very well may come up with a different angle simply because they are so completely unfamiliar with what is being discussed that they approach it from a way that a person who is experienced in the area might not normally think about.
It reminds me of a little joke that people tell to suggest the people who may not be the expert comes up with a better idea. There's a truck going under a bridge and the truck is stuck and gee, what do we do? What do we do? We're going to ruin the bridge. We're going to ruin the truck. There's so much important stuff that the truck is carrying. And there's a little boy sitting on the side listening to all these amazing experts talking about it. And the little boy says, well, release some of the air in the tires and it can go through. Stupid me, someone was telling me the story and said, well, why not just release some of the air? And he's like, you just ruined my joke. I was like, sorry.
Yes,
but it makes sense. You don't have to be an expert to come up with a brilliant idea. Common sense idea. So the critical analysis. Why is it the child in the story can critically analyze a situation more so than an expert is intriguing.
And there, as I mentioned before, there are all sorts of variations and techniques within brainstorming. But the thing that interests me is that when I look at lesson plans for teachers in the at the high school area or in the middle school area, I frequently see lines such as, my students will brainstorm a solution to such and such. And I'm absolutely positive that the teacher does not really understand what the concept of brainstorming. To that teacher, the idea is, at least in my opinion, that everybody gets together and just to sort of discuss all sorts of things at the same time,
say discuss.
without having done any previous work in the area. And I agree with you. If it is discuss, simply say discuss. That's a very good word. It's been around for a long time, and everybody understands the meaning. If you say brainstorm,
what does that mean?
Exactly.
And
what
is
does
the
that
outcome?
mean?
What are you coming?
Yeah.
What is the product that you're going to
and are you
fulfill?
Yes, and are you going to have your students follow one of the patterns suggested or methods suggested for brainstorming? And are you even using brainstorming correctly? Because remember we said that brainstorming was principally set up to discuss as a solution to a single idea, not to get at various opinions of something. So I think before teachers use the term brainstorming, that they could use some workshops in that area.
I don't know if it's just teachers, K-12 teachers. I would suggest it's anyone and everyone who begins to say, oh, well, let's get together and brainstorm. I've been in those sessions, and I find it to be a total waste of time because we're going off on tangents, and all I'm doing is sitting there looking at my watch thinking, I have so many other things that I could be doing right now, and we're getting nowhere fast.
Well, and I think part of the other thing, you're right. And
just tell me what you want me to say.
I think that if the teachers understood that you have to have a certain structure in the brainstorming, with the use of brainstorming, that things would go a heck of a lot better. But I think even more if the teacher would simply say, my students are going to do some research in an area. Everybody will do this basic research, get their own ideas, bring their ideas together from this research that they've been doing, and discuss it. It would make a lot more sense to the students. And we have come to the end of yet another edition of Technology and Education Today.
So I'm Caroline Crawford.
I'm Richard Smith.
And we are coming to you from the University of Houston Clear Lake in Houston, Texas, USA. Bye!